Pleasant good morning to everyone. I didn't realize I had so many kudos. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the head table, Dr. Yetadis Gibri, the Pan American Health Organization WHO officer in charge and advisor on family health and disease management, Dr. Sandra Volcati, the sub-regional advisor on veterinary public health, Dr. Ruben Grajeda, the Pan American Health Organization WHO advisor on nutrition and social determinants. Other members of the head table, Ms. Lialo Rebalos, the advisor on disaster risk reduction. Workshop participants, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me start by saying that life as we know it, and as we all know it, is very unpredictable. Life as you know it right now, sitting here, is unpredictable. Something could happen at this moment, a disaster could take place, and it will not be predicted. Disasters also are unpredictable, as we have seen. We try to predict as much as we can. We try to predict weather patterns, we try to predict hurricanes, we try to predict a lot of things, but we cannot, as we know right now, predict a major earthquake. It just happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, this workshop and the objectives of this workshop, as I see here this morning, is in sync with what is happening in our age of natural disasters. We do have what we call disaster management ODPM. That is a facility that we utilize for coordination of disaster management in Trinidad and Tobago. However, as we all know, when a disaster takes place in a country, it disrupts every single facet of a country. There may be generalized disasters, which we know to be like what's happening in the Philippines and in Haiti, but it may be focal disasters. Now, when a generalized disaster takes place, one looks at the whole aspects of disaster management and the disruption that occurs with daily living and activity. It brings into focus every single method and every single agency that is in a country. You have health problems, you have national security problems, you have social determinants and social problems, and if you look around it, you have every single aspect of disruption that takes place in a natural disaster. The whole idea about a natural disaster, it does occur. But what do we do, one, by putting things in place to determine exactly how do we respond in a natural disaster? Can we respond right away? Will we respond right away? What occurs to the agencies? How do they enter? If the roads are disrupted, etc. If there's a disaster at sea, how do we arrive at the point of the disaster, which is the focal disaster, and take those unfortunate victims away from that disaster to an area of care and consideration? Sometimes, as we have seen the most recent example is the Philippines, complete disaster. How do we develop a system where food, electricity, healthcare, and other things reach the point of the problem? Now, I understand that this workshop is going to develop strategies and plans to be implemented as we move forward. Sometimes when we live in our normal comfort zones, we tend to forget exactly what could happen if something is disrupted. You see, and this workshop could not have come at a more opportune time. The recent unfortunate events in the Philippines and in Italy should serve as a wake-up call for us in the Caribbean region, especially as we are developing states and we have limited resources. In light of disasters experienced by Jamaica, Grenada, and Haiti, we know that we should not underestimate our vulnerability in the Caribbean region. In most cases, ladies and gentlemen, disasters such as the ones experienced in those islands result in a compromised public health care conditions due to interrupted and contaminated food and water. Any type of disaster will disorganize transportation systems, they disorganize the communication, social, and economic routines. Even though food stores may exist, the population may not have access to them. In emergencies, food intervention play a very key role in saving lives. According to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25(1), everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food. In emergency context, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to reaffirm the fundamental right of everyone to have access to adequate food and water. The Humanitarian Charter and the Minimum Standards in 1998 aimed to quantify people's requirements for both food, water, sanitation, nutrition, shelter, and health care. Most interventions to prevent nutritional problems during emergencies are designed as part of the immediate response to them, but require that previous knowledge of the population, including those at risk, and the preparation of adequate guidelines to maintain food supply and to cover nutritional needs in terms of quality, quantity, and safety, including food rations for those who depend on food assistance. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, when developing a response to disaster, there are groups in our society that we need to pay special attention to, including those from the lower socioeconomic brackets, who already may be suffering from malnutrition, pregnant women, and children. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, for each country to build the capacity within the National Disaster Management Organization to address the needs of the population and identify those at high risk and the high-risk groups that will require special interventions during emergency situations. As you deliberate over the next few days to produce action plans to efficiently address food safety and nutrition in emergencies, it is necessary to remind ourselves of the priorities of a food aid program. A food aid program during a disaster should do all the following. 1, immediately provide food where the need is urgent or appears to be, as in isolated populations, institutions, hospitals, and among rescue teams and aid personnel. 2, make an initial estimate of the food needs of the affected population, taking into account its demographic characteristics. 3, identify food stocks, food stockpiles elsewhere in the country, food assistance organizations, etc., ability to transport, to store, and to distribute that food. And 4, ensure the safety and suitability of locally available foods and the supplies received. The food ration should be as simple as possible and should consist of basic foods, such as rice, corn, and wheat flour. It should also have a concentrated source of energy like oil or another fat, and a concentrated source of protein, for example, dried or canned fish or canned meat. Along with this basic ration, vulnerable groups, children under the age of 5, pregnant and breastfeeding women, and malnourished persons, they all need to receive supplements. Ideally, a strategy for nutrition in emergency, detailing when to intervene and with which response should be developed prior to the onset of this emergency as part of an emergency preparation plan. In order to design effective and appropriate nutritional responses to an emergency, it is important, ladies and gentlemen, to assess and analyze a situation. In the Trinidad and Tobago context, a multi-sectoral team comprising the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, the ODPM, the Pan American Health Organization, the Ministry of Health, all other government ministries, the NGOs, the private sector, and members of civil society, all collaborate in developing a policy on food security in emergency situation and an action plan. The Ministry of Health welcomes this workshop as it provides the opportunity for collaboration and a coordinated approach among key actors in securing the well-being of our people in emergency situation. Ladies and gentlemen, I do urge you to give thought and give your best to planning when you engage in these deliberations. As we say to ourselves, to our CARICOM neighbors, I hope you enjoy yourself, have a pleasant stay in our island, and anything that you desire, just call upon the Ministry of Health and we will be ready to assist. I do want to take note as I leave the podium to indicate that we need to have what we have, an implementation plan after this workshop. The implementation plan is always desirous and necessary because we tend to have a lot of ideas. However, for each of our countries and CARICOM neighbors, and Trinidad and Tobago included, we must develop an implementation plan. I'm in the process of developing what we call sea ambulances and hopefully an air helicopter ambulance for disaster preparedness. We are also looking at the development of, and as I say, purchase of mobile hospitals, just in case that because we are expecting our disaster in this country. Recently, we had an earthquake that is, I think, it was about 5.4, or I could be wrong, higher on the Richter scale. It's coming closer, ladies and gentlemen. So until this is an opportune time to say I want to thank the Pan American Health Organization, WHO, department, for bringing this to the point where we need to at least look at our comfort zone and develop a disaster management movement. Thank you very much.